Hey everyone, my name is Rosalind. I am growing here in Zone 6A, Illinois, and I want to talk to you about the 10 things I believe that every beginner gardener must know. One, what is your why? Ask yourself, why am I gardening? Why am I doing this? Once you know your why, that will help you keep you motivated during those ups and downs of gardening. You're going to have many ups, but you may have some downs. And there it's very easy to get discouraged. Knowing your why will also help you to let you know if your efforts are matching your goals. What are your goals for gardening? If your goals are to grow just enough for your really tiny family, are you doing too much? Are you not doing enough? What is your why? Two, you want to know your grow zone. This will help ensure that you are choosing plants and particular varieties that grow well in your area. And also, when you are watching particular YouTubers, I watch YouTubers in all different types of grow zones. However, when it comes to particular things or particular times of the year to grow things or certain information, I stick to those who grow in zone 6, which I am in. Three, you want to assess your area. You want to see where are you going to grow, what is going to be your growing space. Just because you have a big yard, that does not mean that you're going to use the entire yard to grow whatever you need to grow. Do you have a patio? What would be the best thing, the best way for you to grow to maximize your space? If you live in a patio, would it make sense to get a garden bed? Or, or would it make more sense to container garden or vertical garden? After you have assessed your space, you want to determine how you want to grow. Okay, do you want to do raised beds? Do you want to do container gardening? Container gardening can be pots, it could be buckets, it could be grow bags. Do you want to grow in ground? If you grow in ground, growing in ground versus raised beds versus container gardening, you're going to need different types of soil. For a raised bed, you will need topsoil mixed with compost. For in-ground gardening, most people is just the native soil that they have, and they add some compost. For this container gardening, most people use a potting mix, which includes cocoa coir, perlite, or sometimes peat moss and or vermiculite. You cannot use the same things in a container garden as you would for the garden bed. The soil in the garden bed is going to be a lot denser than it will be in the container garden. It needs to be the containers need lighter, fluffier soil. So now you've assessed your growing space of where you're going to grow, how you're going to grow it. Now, based on the plants you're going to grow, you've decided on, you need to determine where in that growing space you are going to place everything. Because all plants require sunlight, but not all plants require the same amount of sunlight. So that is very important. Your placement of your plants will be very, very important. I'll give you example. I grew some watermelon on this trellis here. It did wonderful. I said cucumbers love full sun, so I know, and they love a trellis. So I said I know they would do well on that trellis. Absolutely not. Those cucumbers were stressed out. They struggled the entire season last year. I got one cucumber, y'all. One. It was so bad. And I was like, what's wrong? And I put shade cloth and it just didn't even matter. So you want to be mindful of where you're placing everything. In the back of my house, I don't have shade. And the sun just beams on the back of my house. So I have to create some type of shade. And you can do that using shade cloths or use other plants to shade out things or other structures. You can use your greenhouses on the sides of your greenhouses, depending on where they're placed on the sides of your house, they could create some shade. So this year, I'm still not sure where I'm going to be placing my cucumbers. 5, fertilizing. Fertilizing, all plants need food. There are particular types of fertilizers you can use. You can use granular fertilizer, you can use liquid fertilizer, and you can make your own liquid fertilizer. And you also have to decide if you want to do an organic garden. So if you're going to do an organic garden, you would use organic fertilizer. With your granular fertilizers, they are slow reacting. Well, slow releasing. So you don't have to apply them as often as you would a liquid fertilizer, which will get washed away by the rain a lot quicker. So a lot of liquid fertilizers, you fertilize maybe every 2 weeks or so. And on your liquid fertilizers, a lot of times you're going to see NPK. The N stands for nitrogen, the P for phosphorus, the K for potassium. And you're going to see some numbers. Most plants are going to need lots of nitrogen when they first start off growing, because that nitrogen is what helps produce those leaves, helps those leaves grow. The potassium and phosphorus, that's what gets those blooms happening for a lot of those fruiting plants or those flowers. So the higher the number underneath the letter, that means the more of that particular uh, nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium that there is in the plant. So, for some fertilizers, there may be more there may be more potassium for phosphorus in those, and then some there may be maybe all nitrogen. Number 6, acidity. Acidity is important, especially for particular plants. Berries. Berries love acidic soil. So your pH is what will help you determine how acidic your soil is. A lot of people test their soil, especially people who do garden beds. They test their soil because over the course of years, it can turn alkaline. And for your berries, you need acidic soil. Most plants require slightly acidic to neutral soil. 7, watering. Watering, I need to get a better broom, outdoor broom. Watering is really important. So just like plants need food, they also need water. If you think about us, we actually can go a lot longer without food than water. And the same for a lot of plants. They can go, a couple weeks. We fertilize every couple weeks. They can go a couple weeks without water. With food. But when it comes to water, that's different. So for some things, they may need to be watered every few days. Some things once a week. It just depends on the particular plant. You want to make sure you're not overwatering, and you want to make sure you're not underwatering, because both can be detrimental to your plants. You want to make sure you are watering the base of the plant, so into the soil, and not just spraying the leaves, because that can invite fungal disease for a lot of plants. Hey, mulching can change the game, because mulching is going to help retain some of that moisture from when you water, especially if you live in hotter climates. I know some people will have to water 2 to 3 times a day because the sun is drying out the soil so much. That mulching will help retain the moisture in the soil. There's different ways to mulch. You can use straw. You can use straw and try to get garden straw. I don't know if this was garden straw. But eventually I did buy some garden straw, but the first batch of straw I got, I don't think it was garden straw, but it still did okay. But try to stick to garden straw, because I think the other straws may have some type of film or something on them that could possibly harm your plants. Check into that. You can use leaves, dried leaves for mulching, grass clippings, and some people use wood chips. I use pine bark for my berries, especially my blueberries. All right, so we're watering. We we learned about mulching. I don't care where you live. Pests. You can live across the ocean, up north, up south, east, west. At some point in your gardening time, your gardening career, you will deal with pests. The pests can be insects, they can be even animals. Particular insects and animals gravitate towards certain plants. And so, whatever you're growing, you want to be prepared. And it also depends on the area you're in, because um, if you are you in a fenced-in yard, if you're in a fenced-in yard, you may not deal with particular animals that you would as if you were in a fenced-in yard. My first year of gardening, where am I putting that? My first year of gardening, I had a fenced-in little patio apartment yard. So we had a yard that I shared with other people, and I didn't have to deal with any animals. I didn't have any animal issues. It wasn't until I moved to this place. There's no fence, and I live literally, there's woods. So I've dealt with all types of animals. But there are many ways that you can deter the pests. Um, Companion planting is a great thing. A lot of people use marigolds. They don't, certain animals and insects do not like the smell of marigolds, or certain herbs like your lavender, green onion, dill. They're very strong, so it kind of helps deter the pests. Trap cropping. So trap cropping is you use a particular plant that a lot of insects or even animals may like, and you plant that a little far away from your plants, and those animals and insects will gravitate towards that particular plant. Nasturtiums is a big thing. That is a flower that the insects will eat, and they will leave your crops alone. As far as like things that you can sprays and stuff, some people use neem oil spray, which I have used that in the past. I've also made my own. It helped a little bit, but it helps with the neem oil helps with many different insects. Now you can use diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth, I believe, helps with the ants and the slugs, and that's another thing. When you're using particular things, or someone tells you about something, you have to know that certain things only help with certain things. Someone was telling me, "Oh, use diatomaceous earth." I was having a caterpillar problem, and I was using diatomaceous earth on my cabbages, and it was not helping. And I'm like, why isn't this helping? And it was because from my research today for this video, I found out that the diatomaceous earth pretty much more particularly maybe helps more with the uh, ants and slugs. I mean, it may work for some people because I think I have seen it work for some people a little bit, but for me, it did not work. And maybe because I was using it for the wrong purpose or to deter the wrong insect. Some people also use BT. I've never used BT. I know you put it in the soil. It is organic, um, and it helps with certain insects. Number 10, know that this is a learning journey. Doesn't matter how many years you've been growing, there is always something new to learn. Embrace the journey, enjoy the journey. In gardening, you will have some many ups and maybe some downs, but when you remember your why, that will keep you going. Happy growing, everyone.